Greetings, everyone. I'm Dimitri, and welcome to today's episode of Fryderykraft. If you watched our last episode, you know that we went around the city decorating the streets for Halloween, as well as some work on this side of town where we built that mansion over there that's now loading into view. But in this episode, we'll be doing some more work on the city, but on the opposite side of the town. So a small geography lesson for you guys. The city of Erickton actually has several neighborhoods. This neighborhood over here is called Edwardsford. It actually gets its name from a town that we had on our old server. Well, the world that we had from 2020 to 2021, we built a small town for Halloween during October of 2021, and we called it Edwardsford because it sounded English. So yeah, the only reason it's called that is because it sounded like the architecture that we had there, and that's where that gets its name from. And in fact, some of the buildings, like such as the equipment shop and Pensworth Gate right here, come directly from that old world. Now, going to this area right here, coming across this bridge, we have this island over here, which we call Glessing. It is kind of known for being a dump. As you can see, there are no paved roads. Most of the buildings here are windowless and abandoned. In fact, we even have some boarded up windows right here, so that's how you really know how run down this is. We have overgrown grass here, and in fact, this stump right here actually came from a Christmas tree that we built here back in 2022. And this is what remains of it. It got burned down. So that's kind of a little bit of information on this place. There's one building right here, which is normal. Glessing is kind of known as the Detroit, or the O Block, or the Floridsdorf of our server, with all these rundown buildings. It is kind of an inside joke that this is the place of town that you do not want to be in. So in this episode, we'll be redeveloping this land so that it will become a nice part of town like the rest of the town. And I have Game Night here to help me with it. So the first step we are going to have to do when redeveloping this area of the town is to demolish all these buildings. As you can see, these buildings are pretty uninteresting and insignificant. In fact, when we first built this area of the town, it was planned to be a bit of a factory district, which is where this building comes in. Thank God that didn't actually happen with this area. But the first thing we'll be doing is demolishing the entirety of the island, so we have a nice clean slate to work on. And if you are wondering, all the property owners in this town will be compensated with prime real estate in the Mushroom Flats. If you do not know, the Mushroom Flats are a barren wasteland out in the ocean, but it is filled with prime economic opportunity, which is why we are relocating all the property owners to over there, so that they have great, wonderful compensation for the land that they lost. So I am here with Game Night, who will help me demolish all these buildings around us.
Yep. Is it
And
booming time?
no, we are not using TNT. Look at all these valuable resources here. We could
Oh,
we
yeah, I
could
forgot.
we could
TN
we could easily reuse all of this to build more buildings. So
I forgot TNT doesn't have 100% drop rate in Bedrock.
yeah, so we will get to uh, dismantling all these buildings, and we will follow up once we are done with that. And with an afternoon of hard work, we have a nice clean slate for us to rebuild this area of the town. Uh, as you may notice, it does not look the greatest right now, but if you watch the City Hall video when we did work over there, you'll know that we can just trust the process and it will turn out better in the future. Now, one of the main problems with this area was that it was very small. As you can see, just this end of the island to that end of the island is probably only around like 50 blocks or so, which is very small, meaning that the buildings that were here were extremely small with only like 5 blocks worth of interior space. So one of the things that I would be doing before we start building any of the buildings here is that we will actually be extending this island that way. As you can see, we have a train station over there, and we will have a elevated rail line that goes over and onto this island where it then goes underground. So as part of the train infrastructure, we will have to extend the island down that way, which will also create more space on the island so that it is a much better place, and maybe we will even add more bridges to connect. So that is what we'll be doing first. Of course, we have lots of dirt from the hills that we have taken down over there, as well as this random shulker box of dirt that was here this entire time, probably used to fill in this area back years ago. Anyways, it is time for us to have a little Dutch moment and reclaim some land. Like that. And as you can see, we have almost doubled the size of our island here. I'll give you a little aerial view so that you could truly see the extent to our expansion. Like there. Large, massive land to the south of the island now. And as a bonus, I'll give you a nice aerial view of our city here too. Back on the island, you can see that we have expanded our land around 50 blocks to the south. As you can see here, we have the island curving to follow this canal right here. And over here, we have a little bit where the train will end up on this island connecting, and it will eventually go underground here. But as you can see, if we stand over here, as you can see when you stand over here, this is a very steep grade for the train to go down, which is a bit unrealistic, so that is a bit of a problem. But that is a problem for future me, and we are in the present. And speaking of the present, after filling in this area of the island, we are out of resources, especially dirt, as well as other resources that I have used as I've built the city over a couple months. So I would like to take a quick little break to go gather some more materials so that we can go build stuff after we are back. And after a small session of resource gathering, we now have some blocks for us to start building this section of the city. As you can see, we've refilled a bit on the dirt, though not quite as much as what we had before. We've got some sand and gravel in here so that we can make some concrete powder. And here we have some black stones so that we can have shop fronts and roofs. So the first building I already have planned out now. It will be right here, I think, and there will be some sort of street running down to the south over here, and this will be one of the corners of that street. Before there was some sort of like square here. I'd like to actually keep that for whenever we rebuild the island. So this will remain a square, but here there will be a street that goes to the south, and it will connect to the new area that we've made. So for this first building, it will be a nice stone building, and by stone I mean sandstone, and by sandstone I mean birch. So that is nice. It'll have around 3 stories, and it won't be that big of a building as this island is pretty small, so most of the buildings on this island will not be that big, but I'll probably just get to building it and show you after we're done. Like this. And here we have our building, all nice, and if you take a look, you can see that the windows are kind of raised a little bit above, and that is so that possibly I would want to raise the street up a block to accommodate for that train over there. So that would make it a little bit easier. As you can see, it is just the facade currently. I haven't filled out the back walls or put in the roof yet, but I might do that this episode. If you look closely, I used fence gates right there to have some sort of stone carving pattern underneath the windows there, so that's all nice. Anyways, the next thing that I would like to do is to do a little bit more building. I currently do not have any plan on what I will be building, except for the fact that there will be a street right here, and this area will be sort of like a square area. So I will probably just go ahead and build as many buildings as I possibly can in a small amount of time, and without really any much of a plan, and I'll just come back when I am done and explain about them later. And now that we are done, I can go ahead and show you some of the new buildings that I've put in. And obviously we have this building from the previous section, but across from that we have another building, pretty similar but with some differences. This one has a small shop front in front of it, so you could go in and see and look at the goods that they're selling. And we've also got some columns going upwards. Going further down on this street, we've got some more shops. So you can see nice large windows so you could go see the merchandise being sold. But getting a better look, you could see we have some nice stores with some apartments sitting on top of them. Uh, do not be afraid to use dirt as a building material because it is a very nice brown block that we have. Got some white window frames used by pushing iron trapdoors with pistons. Getting a look at this building right here, we can get an angle. We've got this nice brick building that's it's a little bit tall, and we have a nice storefront in front of there too. Back out to the square, we have some more shops, such as this building right here, which looks like it could easily be a place for you to buy a certain type of beverage. Got a door out there for you to access the upper floors for the people who unfortunately have to live here. But don't worry, I doubt that anything going on in this building will get too rowdy due to the 270 degrees of surveillance from the outside world that this building gets. And finally, we have two back-to-back apartment buildings right here, with one of them having a store underneath it. All nice. And we have this water spout here to separate the two. So that is all I have for this episode. We've done plenty of building, and we will probably possibly continue building in this area in the next episode. Getting a nice final look at this area. I'd like to thank you all for watching this video. If you have made it this far, leave a like if you'd enjoyed it, and if you'd like to continue seeing development of the city, you can subscribe. And I will see you in the next episode. Farewell.